welcome back to another new episode. Hopefully everybody has been well. My week was kind of stressful, but we're not about to bring you down with all that. And also, in case you have not been listening or you have been listening, then you would know that we have a partnership with SENDWAVE. So make sure that you have downloaded the app, and you could get a $10 or £10
or €10.
Yeah, credit for your first transfer.
Right. And also it's a limited partnership, and this would be the last week, or it ends at the end of October, more or less. So if you haven't done it and you are interested in doing it, then you probably want to get started on that ASAP. Also, hi.
Absolutely.
All right.
So, okay, with that straight.
All right, let's get going. Right. Now, in the news recently, there was a headline making the rounds that was attributed to Samson Ladi Ayeneni, who is the host of a show called Joy News File and also a lawyer. And the headline stated that he said in the new revisions proposed for the PNDC Law 111, which is the intestate succession law, that side chicks and baby mamas will now be entitled to claim part of their dead lovers' properties. So what is intestate succession law? So basically, to die intestate means to die either without a will entirely, or to die with a portion of your assets not covered under a will that is already existing. And for a scenario such as that, the property that isn't covered under your own will be subject to the intestate succession law. Now, this law was introduced in 1985, and it goes how you would imagine it would. The main inheritors are the children, then followed by spouse, if alive, and then parents, if alive, and then finally customary law, which refers to inheritance, that part of which goes to the extended family. Now, the reason why this was even introduced in the first place is that customary rules and a tradition can be a little blurry, and what was happening a lot of the time is that wives and their kids would get thrown out of their family homes because some relatives would show up and be like, this is our son's house, or this is my brother's house, so we are here now, so you need to either leave, or they'll push you into a one room somewhere with all your kids. So it was something that, the PNDC government at the time went out of their way to make sure, that widows were not maltreated. Okay, so back to the issue. Now, by the time the show finally aired, Sheila Minka Primu, who is the chairman of the Executive Council of LAWA, which is the Leadership and Advocacy Women in Ghana group, which from what I understand is a lobby group made up of female lawyers in Ghana. She came on the show to clarify that the new bill actually doesn't make any provision for concubines, and I had to laugh at the word concubines being used in 2021, but she said yes, concubines will not benefit, in fact, from a male lover who dies intestate. However, children will remain entitled to their inheritance, whether born inside or outside a marriage. And so the next day, some Ghanaian blog ran the headline that slay queens are in trouble, which no, they aren't really. But one thing about the bill that did catch my eye is that she had also said that they had attempted to cover persons who cohabitated with the decedent or the deceased for 5 years or more. However, it was strongly objected to, so they had to take it out. Now, if you recall, on maybe I think 2 episodes ago or so, I had been talking about assisted suicide, and I said that, in certain countries, if you cohabitate with somebody for a period of time, then you get certain rights. Even if you're not married, legally married, there are some provisions made for you in recognition of your status as not just a stranger, basically, legally. So, and I thought it was interesting that they pushed so hard against it. She even said that, basically they weren't even going to accept the bill proposal to even vote on it if that was in there. And I'm like, which bitter
why
individuals are in there saying like, no, why should you get, like what's your problem? And I think it would have been quite useful because in spite of what we say, there are quite a few people who sort of just move into their boyfriend's home or whatever it is.
They live together for a long period.
Some have kids even, and they haven't gone down to the courthouse to sign. Maybe they've even exchanged drinks or whatever it is. Maybe they haven't done a tradition. Like there are different grades of, connection or whatever it is. Exactly. So I don't see why, 5 years is a solid amount of time. I thought it would have been good. It would have been
a good thing to have, absolutely.
But anything that explicitly benefits women more or less.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So my in the news item, again, it's about China screwing over other African countries. Now, one of the smallest countries in mainland Africa, Gambia, the Chinese are in there again, doing what they do. Now, Gambia has become a global hub for fish meal and fish oil, and most of it is exported to China. And China also happens to be a majority shareholder in aquaculture. Now, the current president of Gambia, Adama Barrow, has a very good relationship with China, and the Chinese ambassador has explicitly said that he would do everything to invest in fisheries and bring more development to Gambia. But of course, how these things usually go, that's not what happens. First of all, the factories are usually wholly owned by Chinese, or they have a majority share in these factories, and the factories are also given tax privileges or tax cuts. It happens in a lot of African countries. This is not news either. And even the promise of employment for the Gambian people just basically goes to low-skilled labor. They're not really people high up there. So basically all the promises and things go unfulfilled. Of course, the unemployment is not the only problem. There are other problems. One of the problems is that they're not managing their waste properly, so beaches are littered with fish, with rotting fish. And it's become so bad that they are driving, the stench of the rotting fish is driving tourists away. So you have the unemployment problem, you've got the bad waste management problem, you've got the tourism problem. And to add to that, it so also happens that a lagoon, or I think it was a beach or a lagoon in the proximity of one of the factories has turned red, like really, really red, because there are phosphates in it. Again, bad waste management. And it also has arsenate in it, which is killing the fish and which is causing skin irritation. Now, of course, one of the owners was sued in 2017, but as things would go, they ended up paying a $25,000 court settlement, which is really, really, when you think of it, it's
right?
nothing, absolutely nothing. When you're polluting the environment, it's absolutely not right. And of course, activists are trying to pressure the government to make sure that this does not happen, but it's falling on deaf ears and no one is really thinking about the future, so to speak. Now, fishermen obviously are unable to cope with, or they're unable to compete with these large trawlers. So the fishermen who depend on their livelihood, or for who fish is their livelihood, so to speak, cannot fish anymore. And for Gambians who rely on fish to be their main source of protein, it becomes an issue. They can't get fish. The fish becomes expensive because they can't actually have access to it, and it's a whole mess. It's really, again, time and time again, these stories about Chinese companies coming to Africa, coming to loot all sorts of things, and then we sitting back and hoping that the little bit of development that they do is good enough to counter whatever they're doing here.
And not even sitting back, colluding. That's my thing. Every time we sign a deal, it's like, who signed this deal? Why would you sign such a lopsided deal? Why would you not even enforce the few things you did demand in there? Why? Even here we had something like local content law. Like I said a couple of episodes ago, China understand the assignment when it comes to themselves. They've looked ahead. They've done their 50-year projections, whatever 100-year projections. They're like, look, we have 1 billion people in our country. They'll need to eat. They'll need fish. they'll need goods and services, they'll need energy sources, whatever. So they are out looking for how to secure their bag, if you will, on a national level into the future. Why are we're sitting here doing what exactly? Helping them pollute our environment, helping them get out of paying fines and facing repercussions for not upholding their ends of the bargains, all for some small stupid money. So when they come and then they trawl all the fish in the seabed along the coast of Gambia in 50 years,
what's your fish industry then? Where is it then?
What are they going to do?
Sit here and
so whoever it was, whichever big man in there that went and finagled and made sure they dropped the lawsuit or brought it down to what is going on in their mind there?
It's self-interest because he's obviously benefiting from it, because there's no way he will think about his country as a whole and think that's okay. He's benefiting from it
because
somehow.
if you're Gambian and you have children or grandchildren or whatever, are you saying that you can't recognize the fact that your grandkids won't be able to eat fish?
He doesn't care. They don't care. They're thinking about themselves, and they probably have the means to send their children out of the country.
Or by then they expect that they'll be living in Dubai, so it won't even matter. Like, what is this? It's at this point, as I've been saying, that it's one thing to be like China this, China that. China are going to do what China are going to do. What about us?
It's up to us to
it is our country. It is our country. So we have to fight for it. And it's like, how many rounds of colonialism do we need before we recognize the game for what it is? I don't get it.
I don't upsetting. Get it. Unfortunately, there are too many stories. We've talked about this. There was one of donkeys.
Yes.
There's so many stories.
Zambia, the airports. Every day is something. It's like we're just playing. We're playing, and it'll be too late.
Very soon.
You know, we won't do. Some of these things are irreversible, and we're just sitting here acting like I don't know what. Honestly, it's too frustrating.
Too much.
I mean, we have to sit up, really. Anyway, sorry.
Yes, so that's my news. Okay.
All right, so let's move on. Okay, my book is upside down. I'm giving you a George Bush, the first energies right now. Okay, so on to songs of the week, where I have 3. The first song is called Slow Down, and it's by a group called VanJess. And and features Lucky Day, who we've talked about on here.
Yes. On here as well. Songs of the week,
okay. All right, so VanJess are an R&B duo made up of Nigerian-American sisters Ivana and Jessica Nwokike. They began their career on YouTube, actually, which is where I know them from.
Yeah, that's where I know them from as well.
Performing covers and medleys of popular songs. So they apparently lived in Nigeria until they were 8 and 10 respectively. And then they moved to California. They both attended performing arts school and performed as a duo in various talent competitions. And also, again, uploaded their music to YouTube. And so after their cover of Drake's Headlines, which was a mashup with Frank Ocean's Thinking About Forever, went viral, they decided to take music more seriously and do it full time. So they hired a manager and started recording music. So they re-released their debut EP, 00 to Escape in 2015. And after that, they signed to RCA in 2018 and released their debut album, which is called Silk Canvas in 2018. So they released the second EP, Homegrown, in 2021, and Slow Down is one of the tracks on that EP, and again features Lucky Day. And Lucky Day, who Eddie will talk about, is a singer-songwriter from New Orleans. And so, yeah, the song it samples, what song is that? Anyway, when you hear it, there's a trumpet sample. It's from like a 90s hip-hop song, but it's flipping my mind right now. But of course, their melodies are amazing. They're gorgeous girls. I love their music. And so, yeah, check that out. Slow Down, VanJess featuring Lucky Day. All right, so my second song is called About Her, and it's by a producer called Phazz. Now, I always say that I don't like electronic music, and that's actually a lie because there's a lot of electronic music groups that I actually like Disclosure. I've talked about K-Tranada on here before. Yeah. There's Daft Punk, who I love. I was so upset when they disbanded. And in fact, my friend told me, calm down, like, it's not even that deep. I was distraught, literally. So Phazz, again, he's a French producer from Lyon. His name is Ladipoe, and he's also part of a production duo called Almeria. And he musical from a young age, as they often are, played piano, and he got introduced to more genres, which he said informed his music style. He was one of the people that came to prominence after uploading his music to SoundCloud in the 2010s, and after that, he's actually known for his collaborations with a lot of French rappers, including Orelsan, Jordi, Oxmo Puccino. If you know your French rap, you'll know who those are. And he has at least 2 EPs and about 3 albums. And About Her was released in 2016, and it's on a compilation called Majestic Sounds. And actually, it samples. Why can't I remember his name now? The one, Real Thing. That guy. Why am I drawing a blank? Coffee in the morning. I just wanna. Miguel. Miguel. It actually samples Miguel in there, like very subtle. You may not, unless you really know, you might not know it's him. And it's like it's electro, but it's R&B electro. Okay. And honestly, I'm obsessed with this song. So check it out. About Her by Phazz. And my third song is called Feelings, and is by Ladipoe featuring Buju. And Eddie had mentioned Ladipoe, I think last week. Yes. So, and I had said that I have a song of his that I'm going to feature. So I'm like, let me go ahead and do it now. So Ladipoe Eso is a Nigerian singer-songwriter and rapper. He was born and raised in Lagos. Signed to Maven in 2017. Prior to that, he was known for his collaborations with Show Them Camp, which Eddie said also, and he's a member of The Collective, which Eddie had mentioned. He went to UNC Pembroke, so that's University of North Carolina, and he majored in biology and chemistry, and we always love to see it, because I'm tired of these dumb rappers out here, so it's good when they're educated. And he released an album in 2019 called Talk About Poe. He was also nominated for a Heady Awards in 2019, which is a main award show in Nigeria. And then he released Feelings in 2021, and it's a dope song. Yeah. And then, of course, it features Buju, whose name is Daniel Benson, and who used to be signed to Burna Boy's Spaceship Records, but left recently. And I think there's a bit of drama there, but I didn't go into all that. So yeah, those are my 3 songs this week. Slow Down by VanJess featuring Lucky Day, About Her by Phazz, and Feelings by Ladipoe featuring Buju.
Beautiful. So I've got 3 songs for you as well.
Yay, do it!
And the first song is a song called Toroka, and it's by Christian Kuria, and it features Alex Isley. Now, Christian Kuria was born and raised in San Francisco, and he's a hip-hop and R&B guitarist. He first started doing covers before he actually started doing his own music. And in late 2019, he supported Cautious Clay in the US tour. He just has talked about Cautious Clay before. And he comes from a musical family, so they've got writers, pianists, full-time musicians. He's really coming from a musical background. And he describes his music as alternative R&B. And he says one of his biggest influences is John Mayer, mainly because of the guitars, but he also loves Marvin Gaye and Ray Charles. Now, on Toroka, he teams up, like I said, with Alex Isley, and if the name sounds familiar, yes, she's the daughter of American singer Annie Isley from the Isley Brothers. And the song Toroka is an ode or a nod to Christians' Kenyan heritage, and it basically means runaway or escape in Swahili. And the song is basically talking about escaping trouble despite knowing that confrontation is out there. And it's a really beautiful song made by 2 very beautiful, talented people. My second song is from Musa. We've talked about Musa on here before. I talked about Ngivumele, I believe. But this song is called Umtande. And Musa Sukwene is a South African singer. He won the 9th season of South African Idol in 2013. And the song Umtande, from what I gather, is basically, it's a love song. And the lyrics, part of the lyrics are love her, love her, love her, love your love, compliment her, compliment your lover. And it's a really beautiful love song. I like South African songs, like
yes,
really
you
slow.
do.
Yeah, they really speak to me. And now we're on to the third song. Now, what would I be if I didn't come on two Pesewas on any season and talk about Adekunle?
Here we go. Finally, I've been waiting. You have arrived. You have finally arrived.
Yeah, so the third song is Sinner by Adekunle.
And I love that song.
Oh, it's beautiful.
I love that
I like the
song.
beginning, the way the beginning just goes. And it features Lucky Day. Now, we've talked about Adekunle Goldie. I'm not going to go into that again. You're going to get bored of me, and we don't want that. So I'm going to talk a bit about Lucky Day. His full name is David Brandon Brown. He's born in 1985. And apparently he was raised in a cult where secular music was not allowed. So that's interesting.
First of all, I thought he was Nigerian for the longest time, and he's really not.
No,
We're claiming him by force. I'm like, this boy ain't even...
I really thought so as well. So I was wondering even whether Lucky Day is pronounced
Lucky
Day.
Day or something.
Anyway, so he was also on American Idol season 4, yes,
okay.
but he didn't make it that far. But he also happens to have written songs for Mary J. Blige, Sweat, Ella May, and Boyz II Men. And he's also received 4 nominations for Grammys in 2019. His debut album was called Painted, and he has another EP out called Table for Two, which came out this year. So, as usual, beautiful song. Anything Adekunle Gold does,
yes,
it's heaven for me. And that's a Sinner, Adekunle Gold, and Lucky Day. So 3 songs from me: Christian, Kuria featuring Alex Isley with Toroka, Musa with Mtande, and then Adekunle Gold featuring Lucky Day with Sinner.
Wonderful. All right. Now let's move on to the what the F for this week. Okay, so while we weren't paying attention, Jesus apparently already came back. So I guess we're basically the leftovers, the unchosen, the left behind. Also, shout out to Leftovers. There's a show on HBO. It used to run really intense, but really good as well. Okay, so in 2019, pictures and videos went viral of a barefoot Jesus dancing in the streets, speaking at a revival and being driven through the streets waving to the people of Keserian, which is a town about an hour outside of Kenya. So a huge mob was following this man. You know, like how when the Pope comes and he's in the Pope mobile, and I'm just, following him, and it caused a stir. And the videos were so bizarre and surreal that everyone was like, what the hell is going on? Like, who is this? What's happening? So it was later revealed that this man's name is Michael Job. He's an actor and an evangelist now at Jesus Loves You Ministries. And he was in Kenya at the invitation of a Christian crusade where he was a guest speaker. So he's from Orlando, Florida. And apparently he plays Jesus in the Holy Land theme park there, which I didn't know there was a Holy Land theme park. Like, what? And so after the crusade happened, some reports that are unsubstantiated, so just saying that, came out that he'd been deported actually, and the pastors who invited him got arrested because they were taking money from Kenyan people, promising that Jesus will perform miracles for them and or secure them seats in heaven. So you pay and they write your name.
What is this?
So again, like, are we really that gullible? Like, you should have seen how people were chasing after. Like, obviously it's not really Jesus. Like, this is something that. But then it did occur to me, because there's this whole thing that people are like, well, if Jesus actually did come back, would we pay him any money? Because what would he do? He'd just be like, hello, I'm Jesus. And we'd be like, boy, bye. Nice try. But then again, there's miracles, right? He would have to do something
for you to believe that.
But I know, having been on Twitter and left, that people would be like, but this is Photoshop. Do you know how easy it is to use your phone to make video edits? Go on TikTok. Can't you see everybody is editing? So it would probably be quite difficult for actual Jesus to come and convince people, unless he's like, okay, I just snapped the sun away. Now what? Can't do that easily. But, so after that, I checked this Michael's Facebook page. He had quit his job at Holy Land Theme Park and is now full-time evangelizing, which he wasn't doing until we invited him here. And at the time I checked, he was in Tanzania now, Dar es Salaam, again at the invitation of another Christian crusade. And he was actually in the studio on some radio station promoting the event. But this time he wasn't dressed up as Jesus. Last time he was actually dressed in the white robe like Jesus. I'm like, so this man has seen a wonderful, easy opportunity.
Yes, to come and see
He's like,
people.
look, I'm not going to pretend play Jesus. Maybe they give me $30,000 a year. This one, I come, maybe charge them $10,000 a pop. They pay.
Right.
And then on the side, I'd be taking some consultation monies for, your heaven securing whatever. I mean, why?
You think he can do that over there? He knows where to do that.
Exactly. He knows who's going to fall for this nonsense.
Absolutely.
Like, it is ridiculous. So anyway, that's my what the F this week. Jesus is roaming
is
around in East Africa. So if you want to meet him,
better go.
head on down there.
Great one. Okay. So my what the F, scientists want to bring back the woolly mammoth.
I saw that.
Oh, you did. So a number of geneticists led by Harvard's George Church want to bring back the woolly mammoth. Now, the woolly mammoth roamed the earth some 4,000 years ago and then became extinct. Now, having received a $15 million investment, it would seem as though the project was actually going to come to life. Now, you would think they would do something better with the money, right? Why wouldn't they do something else with the money? Well, according to proponents, they're saying that bringing the mammoth back, and not in its original form, by the way, could help restore the Arctic tundra ecosystem, but also combat climate crisis, so to say, and preserve the endangered Asian elephant. And the company hoping to do it is called Colossal, and they're not making a clone, but they're making a hybrid, so a mammophant. And so they're taking some DNA from the frozen mammoth species and then combining that with the Asian elephant. Now, the climate change argument is that mammoths used to scrape away layers of snow so that cold air could reach the soil to maintain permafrost. And once they became extinct, the snow accumulated, and then because it had insulating properties, the permafrost now got warm and started releasing greenhouse gases. So they state that the mammoths, or the mammophants, to be more specific, could reverse that trend. Now, the counter is that people are saying that there's absolutely no evidence that this will even reverse a trend, and it could actually be more harmful. Now, my question is, how long are you going to wait to do that, to actually get those mammophants on the earth? How many of them are you going to produce? And by that time, aren't we all dead?
Yes, long dead. Because I presume they can't do more than one at a go.
Exactly.
Given the size of the woolly, the mammoth and everything. And my whole thing is, just because you can doesn't mean you should. This is how we got Jurassic Park. We've all seen these movies. Like, I don't understand. Did you watch Jurassic Park 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? It's not gonna work. Like, you are going at best case scenario, this poor hybrid funny creature will die, a miserable death from some strange genetic disorder.
Yeah, because things have changed now.
Exactly. And again, they're not, as they said themselves, it's not a mammoth, it's a mammophant, which doesn't exist, and nobody asked for it. And sometimes you should just let evolution do its thing and not interrupt the process with your stupid combinations. And again, wouldn't that $15 million just be better?
Do something
put towards preserving the ice frog in some other way. Like, you can't find, I don't know. People like to play God a lot.
Too much.
It's
not necessary. I just feel like it was absolutely not necessary. considering the fact that you might actually need hundreds or thousands.
Exactly. To have the effect, you know how large the northern tundra is. You're going to put 5 elephants there, like, do your thing. What are they going to do? They'll probably die of starvation.
And there's no guarantee that it will work. Come on now. Let's
just say you want to make an elephant. Don't come up with silly
mammophants thing. So that's my what the F today. I just found it really ridiculous. Come on, people are suffering. $50 million is a lot of money. Ugh. All
right. So my 2 pesewas this week is a complete, swerve from the kind of stuff I typically talk about. I thought I would introduce some healthcare and beauty related stuff.
Love it.
So my 2 pesewas this week is on skincare acids. Now, some of you can tune out. I'm sure the guys are like, please. But you also need to look after your skin, so I would listen. All right. So in the last couple of years, beauty trends have shifted away from sort of a heavy foundation base to putting a lot more emphasis on the skin that is under the makeup that you're going to wear. So a lot of brands now have released skincare lines. We have affordable skincare options now from companies like The Ordinary. You have Good Molecules, you have Inky List, and every day a new brand is coming out with a skincare line. And so they're more popular than ever. However, they can be extremely confusing and daunting to make heads or tails of. So when I also got into skincare outside of just putting cream on my face and calling it a day, one of the things that was a bit confusing to me was skincare acids. Which is which, because the word acid alone is already like intimidating, right? So that's why I decided, for anyone out there who wants to get into skincare acids and doesn't know where to begin, this is a very short, I guess, cheat sheet, if you will.
Nice.
Okay, so there are three main types of acids. You have AHAs, BHAs, and then like another group, broad group of acids. Now, the main property that so AHA stands for alpha hydroxy acid, and then BHA is beta hydroxy acid. Now, the main property that all hydroxy acids share is that they're chemical exfoliants, right? So they penetrate the skin, they loosen dead skin cells, and that reduces pigmentation, that reduces excess oil and bacteria, so you get fewer blemishes, your skin is smoother, your texture is better, and it also eliminates or reduces fine lines, right? So alpha hydroxy acids are acids that are primarily found in nature and mostly in foods, right? So alpha hydroxy acids, again, like all hydroxy acids, break down skin cells, dead skin cells, and the special characteristics, because there are differences, of alpha hydroxy acids is that they are hydrophilic. So what that means is they attract water and they're water soluble. So that makes them a great option if you have dry skin or sensitive skin, because they only sort of go on the surface level of the skin but still have a wonderful effect for you. Okay, so popular AHAs are glycolic acid. That's one you hear about a lot if you're in skincare. That's derived from sugarcane. You have azelaic acid. That's found in wheat, barley, and rye. You have lactic acid, which is from milk. That's some people actually do milk facials. You have citric acid. This is a common one. That's found in citrus fruits. So you have lemon extract, orange, pineapple is also good to put on your face. You have malic acid that comes from apples. You have tartaric acid that comes from grapes. And then you have kojic acid. That's very common in like Eastern beauty stuff. That's from rice. And on and on and on. So again, some AHAs are better for certain things than others. For example, citric acid is very good for brightening your skin. So vitamin C, like a lot of these slay queens always selling some fake vitamin C pills or whatever it is. The idea is that it's supposed to brighten your complexion, not bleach now, which is what they seem to be doing, but just brightening. And then glycolic acid is very good if you have acne scars or blemishes. And then lactic acid is a good and gentle all-rounder. So if you want to pick one, you probably pick a lactic acid if you just want an entry level, whatever to start off with. Now, all AHAs, BHAs, any acids are always available in different strengths. So you can have 2%, 5, 10, 12, 15, on and on. So usually if you're starting out with acids, you want to start out at the lowest percentage just to see how and you want to patch test as well, just to see how your skin is going to react. If it's drying, if you get irritation, you probably should stop. So that's AHAs. Now we have BHAs, which, as I said, are beta hydroxy acids. Now the main BHA that you'll find in skincare is salicylic acid. And this is derived from willow bark, wintergreen, sweet birch, but also has been synthesized as aspirin. So if you just buy regular aspirin and crush it, which some people do a mask with that, it's supposed to have some, effect on your skin. So the difference between AHAs and BHAs now is BHAs are lipophilic as opposed to hydrophilic, right? And that means they're attracted to oil and they're oil soluble. So that means they're able to penetrate deeper into the skin than AHAs. and they're able to like work on the sebum in your skin layer, and they provide deeper exfoliation. And again, they're also stronger. So if you have acne prone skin, salicylic acid is usually very, very good, and is in a lot of skincare, which is for acne prone, blemish prone skin. However, if you have dry or sensitive skin, it's probably not advisable to use as heavy salicylic acid because it can be very drying, again, because it literally does strip the oil out of your skin layer. And of course, any acid you're using on your skin, it's advised that you use sunscreen because, again, obviously, it's eating away, which sounds dramatic, but it is eating away layers of your skin so that you can regenerate new and, I guess, improved ones. All right. Also, you're typically advised against combining too many of your acids together because you might create a super acid, which is gonna like mess you up, right? And then finally, we have the other category of acids, and these are non-exfoliant acids. So that's why it's a bit confusing. Some acids are exfoliants, the HAs, BHAs. Some are called acids, but they don't do any exfoliating either. Now, the main one is hyaluronic acid, which is a wonderful, wonderful skincare product and is in everything, even hair care and whatnot. So while it's called an acid, it has no exfoliating properties at all. It's actually a sugar molecule, and it occurs naturally in the skin. And what it is, it's a very, very powerful humectant, so that it attracts water and it holds, so it binds water to the collagen in your skin. So it traps moisture in your skin or in your hair if you use it in your hair. And it leaves you with a plumped, hydrated looking skin. So you can actually mix hyaluronic acid with anything. In fact, they usually do, especially like a salicylic acid. It will counter some of the drying effects of some of these acids and restore moisture to the skin. And it is very good for you. So that's my 2 pesos this week. I hope it wasn't even more confusing. Tried to break it down. So
beauty tips for
HAs, BHAs, and then you have your hyaluronic acid, which you can throw in everything right now. Okay, that's it.
Brilliant. Some education for you. Okay, so my 2 pesos today is going to be on ableism and how we can do so much better. So in a bit to truly improve ourselves, we need to take note of some of the things we say. I'm definitely guilty of saying some things which probably should not be said, right? Like we all do it. Ableism basically is a form of prejudice that views people with a disability as abnormal, or anything that allows for systemic and individual discrimination against people who are disabled. Now, because a lot of these terms and expressions have become mainstream, I don't think we realize how harmful they are. And it's unfortunate. There are about 1 billion people worldwide who are suffering or who have a disability, so that is something to take note of. And there seems to be a collective sense that when people are using this language, they're equating that to being sort of less or sort of other, and that's not really fair. Now, ableism has very long tentacles. We just need sometimes to look around to see. Now, imagine that let's use a wheelchair, for example. Imagine that I'm in a wheelchair and I need to get to, let's say I need to get to that pram mall. I need to take either a trotro, a bus, or a car. How are you going to do that? There's no provision for my wheelchair for me to be able to get from A to B. And you don't even have to look at the car too far. Just look at outside of your house. Look at the road. Look at the road you're taking. Before you even get to your car, you're already over it. Another example, you go to the hospital or you go to the clinic. How many times is there adequate provision for a wheelchair to roll up? Or let's say
disabled parking even.
Or somebody who's deaf and can't communicate. Is that an option for somebody who knows sign language? Half of the time, or even let's say 90% of the time, it's not there, right? Yet another example is websites. Say I'm visually impaired and there's a photo on the website and I can't see it. Now, Google will penalize you for this if I'm not wrong. You should be able to adequately label your images so that when somebody who's visually impaired comes across it, it reads it to that person and the person knows what your image is about. Now, so you realize that ableism is not just physical or mental, there is structural, there's internalized, there's even ableism between people who are disabled that also exists. There's also benevolent ableism, where people will treat you like an infant, even though you are an adult, just because you are a person with a disability. So not too long ago, there was a call for banning plastic straws. What people refused, or what people failed to realize, was that a lot of people who have a disability are not able to use your regular cups, and for them, plastic straws are the only option. And you might think that they can use like paper straws or metal glass. Those things are not an option because of choking hazards, because of they're not just suited for people who might have a disability. So in some of these things, you have to consider people as a whole, not just one group of people, just not people who are able-bodied, so to speak. You need to consider other people. Now, what are some of these things that we say? Turn a blind eye. That was a lame attempt. Crazy. I use this a lot. I say crazy all the time. I know it's fall on deaf ears. I even think I mentioned it in the news. I said fall on deaf ears. Or somebody is doing something, they can't find. You say, are you blind? Or you're telling somebody something and say, are you deaf? Like I said, I'm definitely guilty of using some of these words. But I think it's just a conscious effort to unlearn some of these things that we're doing. They are harmful. They might not seem harmful to you, but they are harmful to people who have a disability. So let's learn to unlearn, right? So
that's wonderful,
yeah,
wonderful. Especially around here, where traditionally, if you have some sort of disability, they just hide you away, hoping that you're never seen, because it's shame. There's nothing shameful about it in the first place. At least I know there's a school for the blind and we have a school for the deaf, but there can definitely be more done, and just even if it's just stop staring at people who are like, we're very insensitive, and this, I just want to free plug an app that I use. It's called Be My Eyes.
Oh, okay.
And it gives blind or visually impaired people the opportunity to call somebody to ask them a question. And I use it all the time, and I've gotten a few calls from Ghana actually, because it will ring the closest person, and they'll ask, what am I holding? Is it 5 CDs, or is this shirt blue or red or something like that? Can you tell me which is which? And it's just a very, very small thing,
that's great.
But it actually makes a difference in somebody's day. So if you can check that out, or some other kind of app like that, or find some way to help out. It doesn't have to be that. For me, that's a convenient thing I can do anytime. But find something else. I actually wanted to learn sign language. I learned the British Sign Language alphabet only, but I would love to learn sign language, or to find a way to integrate, I guess, to make people with disabilities not feel so alien, really, because they're not.
And what I also wanted to add was that sometimes we're really just a step away, or a trip away, or whatever away from becoming people with a disability.
Because you hear the stories, and it's like, I dove into a pool and I hit that was it. It's not like it's some curse, or you did something bad, or I got into an accident. Things that everyday life, the things we do every day. I slipped down the stairs,
or I had a heart attack, and then it could happen to any of us, and that shouldn't be the reason why you should be. Let's say you should advocate for people who are disabled, but then it could happen to you.
Yeah.
It's something to think about, definitely.
Also, I watched this. Sorry, I'm such a rude.
No worries.
I watched the as I said, I'm obsessed with the Olympics. I also watched the Paralympics, and honestly, like, most of those people are 10 times more able than I am. Like, we reduce, like she said, we infantilize disabled people when they're out here being utter badasses. Like, the Paralympics alone will change your perspective of what it means to be disabled, and to understand that you should respect them as equal, they're the same. It's in some cases better, because some of the things that the Paralympians are doing, I couldn't, and there's nothing wrong with me, so.
One last thing I wanted to add about local languages. If you know of any sort of words that are used in local languages as well that are sort of ableist, I would like to know. Or just like how we deal with that in our local language. It would be really, really interesting. So do that. If you want to do that, please send us a message on Instagram, or tweet at us, or send us a Facebook message. I'd really love
Also,
to know.
if you do know about sign language, I'm curious as to know what kind of sign language Ghana uses, because every country has, you know, British Sign Language and American Sign Language are quite different in some fundamental ways. So I'm quite curious as to how, you know, the deaf, hard of hearing in Ghana are actually communicating, or whether what we learn here can only be used in Ghana, or they can travel and still communicate with other people and so on and so forth. So if you know about it, please let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's it.
That's it.
See you next time.
Bye.